Hey there Dev Squad, Virtus here and welcome back to my Unreal Engine 4 Mech Combat tutorial series. Within today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can set up a UI pop-up which is going to display on the screen when a new wave is started. Because at the moment when we jump into the game, hit play and then we fight through the waves, it is just going to display the number of waves in the top left hand corner. There is not going to be any visual feedback that's really going to capture the player's attention. So what we'll be doing is creating a UI widget, and then when the wave changes we are going to get that displayed on the screen, and we're also going to have some animations with this to make it fade in and out, and by the end of this our wave system is going to look really nice. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into Unreal Engine and get started. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do inside of Unreal Engine is you're going to need to create a widget blueprint for your user interface elements for this mechanic that we're programming. So having said that, right click in the content browser, add a new widget blueprint and give this the name new wave. Once you've done that, go ahead and open it up, and what we're going to do is simply start putting in those elements. First things first, we are going to need a couple text blocks. Now these text blocks are simply just going to say a new wave has started, and it's also going to tell you which wave has started as well. So having said that, with this first text block, we're going to give this under details, content and text, we're going to give this the name wave 00 or wave, and then leave that empty, and then just type in has started. Now what you want to do is add a couple of spaces in between wave and has so that you have a little bit of gap to put some text in there using the other text block, and what you should have is going to look a little bit like this. Now what you want to do is you want to increase the font size of this to make it nice and big, to make it fit pretty much a big large chunk of that screen. And then we are going to anchor this to the center point just like that. We're going to set our justification for the text to the center so that we know it is perfectly centered. And then once we've done this, what we're going to do is simply grab our second piece of text that we've got here. We're going to set the default text to 00 for now. And then once we've done this, we're going to match the font that we've got over here. So wave has started. You can see the font size is 62. So go into the other piece of text and set this to 62 also. So just paste it in or type it in manually, it's entirely up to you. What you want to do then is just drag it into position just like this. Now you will notice here there isn't enough space, so I'm going to add a couple of extra spaces between wave and has started. So with that being done, what we're going to do now is we're going to give this text a different color so it really stands out, showing you which wave it is that we're working with. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to this yellow color just like that. And that is all good. Once again, we want to anchor this to the center point so that it's going to stay in the same position as the rest of the text. What we need to do now is actually put the wave number onto this. So go to content, text, and then what you want to do is create a content binding. And with this, all we're going to be doing is taking the wave number variable and feeding it into this. Now then, to get that wave number, it's really straightforward. All you need to do is simply cast to the third person game mode, which is where this is actually being stored. And then as the third person game mode, you want to get the wave number, and then just feed this into the return value just like that. Now what we're going to be doing is setting our minimum integral digits to 2 so that there is always 2 digits displayed on the screen just to keep it looking clean. If we go to our object wildcard, we're going to set this to get game mode. Just like that. Once we've done this, what we're going to do now is move on to the next section, which is going to be focusing on actually getting this displayed on the screen. So the way that we're actually going to get this displayed on the screen is by going into our level blueprint, which is where we've actually set up the functionality for our wave system. We're going to make some space just like this, and after we increase this wave number here, all we're going to be doing is simply creating a widget, and then with this we are then going to add that to the viewport. So with that done, it should hook up just like this. Now the widget class is going to be the one that we've just created, which is new wave, And then we're going to leave the rest of it exactly the way that it is. And every time that it adds a new wave as per the code, it is going to run through and do that code for actually creating the new widget, displaying it on the screen. So if we go ahead and press play, you can see now as soon as we start, it is going to say wave 01 has started. Now what you will notice is it doesn't come off of the screen. So that is something that we need to do. So what we're going to do is actually set up some basic animations to make all of this happen, to make it come in really smoothly. So with the text, we are going to set under appearance, color and opacity, we're going to set our default opacity to 0. And we're going to do that for both pieces of text. And then what we're going to do down in the bottom left is we're going to add a new animation track called fade in. And then with this, what we're going to be doing is simply going to our timeline, add a track, and this is going to be an track for the text. And then with this, go to add track, and then the one we're after is color and opacity. Expand this, and all we're going to be doing is simply making this flash onto the screen. So at 0 seconds, we are going to add a keyframe, and that is going to be set to 0. And then at 1 second, we are going to set this to 1, as you can see here. So set it to 1 at 1 second, and as you can see here, you're now going to be able to see it. And then over at 2 seconds, we're going to be setting this down to 0. So if we go down to the beginning here, press play, you can see this is just going to simply flash on the screen. If you didn't see me add the keyframe, you can see the little button here is next to the variable or the value that we're trying to change. So now we've done that, what we need to do next is simply do the same thing for the second object that we want to manipulate, which is the second piece of text. So add a track, and then we're going to be doing this with the text. And then with this, we're going to be adding in the color and opacity track once again. Go to our alpha, and we're just doing exactly the same thing. So with our 0 at the beginning, that is going to be where it's at. And then at the position for 1 second, we're going to set it to 1. And then all the way down to 2 seconds, we are going to be setting this down to 0. And what we should have now is a simple little widget which is going to display on the screen just like that. If we go ahead and compile this, hit play, and then watch it pop up on the screen, we are going to see that new wave starting. So what you'll notice there is it hasn't done it. And the reason for that is because it's not actually playing the animation at the beginning. And that's something that you've got to be very careful with. So on event construct, we're simply going to tell it to play an animation. The target is going to be itself. The animation is going to be our fade in. The number of times to play, we're going to leave that to 1. The playback speed is going to be 1. But now if we compile this, hit play, you can see it is going to say wave 1 has started. And it is going to be the same thing if we was to let all of these enemies actually spawn into the scene and then just watch them die and it starts the new round. You are going to notice that it is going to say wave 2 has then started, and the reason for that is because it is a content binding. And as you can see there, it now says wave 2 has started, and that is pretty much everything that I wanted to show you for this system. It is going to give you a little bit more feedback as to when a new round has started. That is absolutely everything for this video. Once again guys, thanks for watching, stay awesome, keep creating, your boy Virtus, signing out. This video was made possible by my supporters on Patreon. If you want more videos like this, check out my Patreon page using the link in the description. To stay up to date on new releases, make sure you follow us on social media.